the era of sacrifice is over. I know, I look different. This is what the Undefined G Center does. You can do and become anything you want. And I had told you all that I had been working really hard to make myself ugly because, well, I didn't like the way my ex-husband treats me. I didn't like the dynamics that I had going on. And when I show up like this, it gets a whole different type of attention. And I love that. I love that for me. So when I was playing with my VitaBot this morning, I had this huge breakthrough, and it was in regards to the cross of planning and the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So what's coming up in 2027? However, we feel the results of it now. I have struggled with not feeling like a fair exchange is happening, especially through my nonprofit work. Like there was so much struggle to just be able to survive. And that truly is the cross of planning in its final throes of falling apart, where we expect structure to take care of us in some way. And that's not the Sleeping Phoenix way. The Sleeping Phoenix way is demanding our worth and saying, hey, I require a fair exchange in order for me to participate. And that is bringing about a whole lot of changes because I finally understand why I was having this struggle and why I was so confused about what about this and what about that. And my cross, I'm the left angle cross of duality, is literally the bridge that helps people go from the cross of planning into the sleeping phoenix. And suddenly my entire life story made sense. There's an entitlement that comes with the cross of planning that says you need to give me things for free, especially when you're looking at marketing and the coaching industry. It's like, oh, I require free things. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. You're bad. You're a bad person. Give value, give value, give value. It doesn't even work because reciprocity isn't there. When you give and give and give and don't get enough in return, it breaks the entire cycle. And that's the whole point of this cross of the sleeping phoenix, is to break that cycle. And so I'm adding paywalls in everywhere and more paywalls because I want to, and it feels right and light for me because I have overgiven and overshared. For 25 years, I have been sharing my story publicly for 16 years, being bold about who I am and the embodiment. And then marketing also says, oh, you need to be relatable. You need to be relatable. And yeah, there's relatable parts in my story, but there's not much about me that is relatable because I've gone through so much, I've endured so much, and I have not fully stood in my power and demanded my worth. And now's my season. Reciprocity says I honor my value, I honor my worth, and I love when people pay me. I love to overshare, I love to give, I love to care, but not for free. And that's been the entire problem, is that I've just been giving everything away for free and then feeling guilty when people don't reciprocate. And it's like, why am I always on the short end of the stick? And that is truly what is ending, is that I demand my worth and I demand my value. And truly, this is the sleeping phoenix way. I was talking to my daughter last night, who is across the sleeping phoenix. And she was like, she just had a baby, and she was like, I don't talk to anyone. She's like, I have hundreds of text messages and they can all just fuck off. And I'm like, oh, that's my girl. That's the thing that we are all embodying, and the journey that we're on is saying no more. I'm not going to give my energy. I'm not going to share my wisdom for free, because if you're not going to honor it, then what? And that's been the problem with so many of my free communities, is that like I give people the tools and then they're not using them. And I'm like, that it's so infuriating, but attention goes where money flows. And so it's super important that when people pay more, they invest more with their time, they invest more with their life, they invest their energy, they take it serious. And that's just like the reality of what it is. So here's where the shift is going. In functional human design, which has been a free community, and I planned on keeping it free until this breakthrough, and it just felt gross. And I was like, how do I do this? How do I make this shift? Here's what we're going to do, because reciprocity doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to be a lot. So if you're in functional human design, I'm going to change the price to $10 a month. I'm going to put a 40% commission on it. That means you make like $3.50 or $4, whatever the total is, after however they calculate it. You're going to make 40% on the $10 a month. And we're doing the same thing. We're just doing it now with a paywall. And if you're in for free and you've been feeling some kind of guilt, because that's what really happens when these bonds aren't equal, is that people have a tendency to feel guilt because they're not giving back to the same level that they've received. And that's what we're fixing with our social media. So being involved in the magical moments of alignment is a great way to be able to give back and feed into the community where there is a fair exchange and you feel good about it, because it's not just about me feeling good. It's about reciprocity is when you feel good also because you're receiving and you're giving. And that's what's so important and why we're only taking it to $10. Now, when it comes to my other programs like Worthy and Vulnerable Leadership, I am not going to do the 50% off the paid in full. I'm doing 25% off the paid in full for today only because my needs are still very real for my family, well, for my kids. Reed can figure his stuff out. They are very real and I am going to do it. Like there's absolutely zero doubt in my mind. But if you are in Worthy or Vulnerable Leadership, what I'm going to do is we're going to do 24 hours. And I will put everyone in there. We can go a sliding scale. It doesn't have to be much, but it does have to be something, because that reciprocity where it's just not an equal flow, that is a challenge. And I love you guys and I care about you so much and I want you to win. So if you are a non-paid member in Worthy or Vulnerable Leadership, where I'm going to DM you, we're going to figure out a plan that works for you. And we're just going to go from there. What I am doing is really restructuring all of my agreements so that I feel honored in them. And it's real simple. And this is actually part of my 6-2 model of like, how does this look for you? You can change your mind. You can decide not to go. I don't think I'm going to go to Phoenix. In fact, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to Phoenix unless they're paying me, because my energy requires payment. And it just is what it is. And I'm going to announce it, and that's fine. I will stay here in my happy little house and serve the people who are honoring me. So, surprise, chameleons happen. This is who I really am at my core. And I warned y'all that I was a shapeshifter. I warned you that there's more behind the curtain. That's why I was doing the big discounts, but it's time to play, and I'm not playing anymore. We are going into Sleeping Phoenix proud of ourselves, knowing that we are worthy, knowing that we can demand our worth without question. We don't have to play nice anymore. We don't have to just give and give. In fact, that giving drives people away from you. That giving too much, it says, ooh, they don't know their value. They don't know their worth. It reminds me of that Maya Angelou quote where people won't remember what you said. They're not going to remember what you did, but they're sure as hell going to remember how you feel. And I'm improvising. But it's really that. We remember how people make us feel. And if that clean exchange of energy isn't happening, then it just feels gross. So I love you. I'm excited, and I am just feeling so much more like me without all of the, ugh. I have to help people. I have to help them. There's a gazillion people who help for free. That over giving is very much cross the planning. Go find that on YouTube. Sometimes you just got to read books, because books is where the good stuff comes from. Okay, I love you tons. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.